Hi and welcome to How to Use CAD. Today's tutorial is still based on detailed sections, and we are going to create a section for wet underfloor heating for a concrete ground floor. By the end of the lesson you should have a good understanding of the component parts that make up a concrete floor incorporating underfloor heating. Underfloor heating is something we get asked for quite a bit when it comes to refurbishing and adding on extensions and doing any kind of decent projects. Underfloor heating is quite expensive, and it's probably about 3 times more expensive to install within a residential property rather than using conventional radiators, etc. So the general view from me is that if you're adding on a small extension, it's not really cost effective to have underground or underfloor heating. But if you are then refurbishing perhaps the existing area, then it may well be. But either way, the client decides for themselves. So what we've got here now is a detailed section for underfloor heating. We've got the component parts here, so we're going to actually put it together to form a proper detailed section like this one. So I have a detailed section here for a timber framed wall, but what that is basically so if I needed to, I can borrow bits and pieces from it, take out some of the elements and effectively create a template for the next detailed section. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of that and pop it in here, and I can get rid of anything I don't need, which is effectively all of that. So we're going to create a new underfloor heating section and place it within the box above. So and we basically assemble the sections. So what goes into it? Well, for starters, if we have a little look at the editorial here, underfloor heating is generally designed by the company that's installing it. You have a loose framework or reference for underfloor heating within a concrete floor. This is the general acceptable regs, but at the end of the day, the company that's installing your underfloor heating are going to design it, going to decide. For example, that's a concrete screed, that's a finished concrete screed that can vary between 50 and 75 mil. Also it depends whether you want it to go off quickly to be available to walk on the next day or within a few days. There are cost implications on those decisions. When it comes to this is basically a 22 mil board with generally with a reflector, aluminium reflector at the bottom, so that these are the pipes here. So this is an insulating board, aluminium on the bottom, and these are the little pipes. They're usually 16 mil, but they can be much tighter than that depending on the installation and what they're trying to achieve. Underneath that, what we have is a thick concrete screed. Underneath that is DPC, and then it's usually some soft sand, and here we have the rubble that's blinded with a bit of ballast, and then the soft sand on top. So what we're going to do then is assemble this together. Did I leave out the insulation? I think I might have left out the insulation. The insulation goes above the concrete slab. So let me just move it up there for a few minutes so that we know everything is in the right order. Looks a lot of gear, doesn't it? But when you put it together, it's not so bad. So I think best way forward would be to do this. And let me do a little line on either side here. So it's effectively a floor. We're not doing any walls attached to it. So here we have, now incidentally I created all of these sections. Don't know what I did there. I think I did something wrong when I moved. So let me see if I can undo what I did wrong. There we go, that's when I moved. This is not a group, it just needs to be moved in one heap. So in other words, when I move all these, I'll be fine. Yeah, what I was saying was that I actually created these little units this morning, these little bits and pieces. So what this is here is, it's on scale, by the way. It's 1000 mil wide, 150 mil high, and it's rubble. It's general rubble. This can be anything from brick to stones or broken up patios, anything that you've got that makes it up. But generally it's about 150 mil. You can see the sizes down here. It's generally about 150 mil of rubble, and in any case the notes here will hardcore. The notes here will tell whoever's looking at the detailed section. But from the point of view of drawing, I'm sure everyone knows how to do this if you're watching this video. But if you didn't, for example, I'd go 1, 3, tabs 150. And then I would look to fill it. I'm not quite sure what happened there. We're going to go again. Tab 1, 2, 3, tab 150. That's to make a box. And I've seen some people, they do this and then they make another box and another one. They're overlaying and overlaying. I like to streamline these sections as much as possible. By that I mean don't have anything there that you don't really need to have. So here we go. As an example, we're going to fill this with rubble, hardcore. So let's have a look here. Let's go down a bit. Well, that's nowhere right. So of course there is an easier way. I could have just looked at this one to see what the scale was, and the scale is 5, so it just saves a bit of time and effort. So there you go, identical. Generally speaking, all I color up is the insulation, maybe the odd little piece, but generally speaking I'll leave the rest in greys and black, so that I've got a little touch of color, so that, like so. I think it looks fine. A little touch of color with the gold or the brown, a yellowy gold, isn't it? On the insulation. I think that's all I need. I don't need to be adding loads of colors. Okay, so we have created the rubble. So generally speaking, after that, it's we like to blind the rubble or hardcore with sand. Blind, it means you put sand on top and it fills up all the gaps, and then at the top you generally put a decent layer of about 50 mil. Oops, I'm using the edit instead. Maybe not 50 mil, about 20 mil, 25 mil of sand, and you try to get that as even as you possibly can, so that when we sit anything on top of it, it's going to work. Right, so I think actually I'm forgetting one of my guiding principles here, which is to explode, meaning don't put the elements tight, so that we can see that we have a description of them, and that's probably a bit too much of a gap now. Okay. Like me, struggling for perfection, and generally don't get it, but you have to give up. Like, don't knock yourself out trying to get the elements perfect, because this is effectively, it is what it is, and as long as you convey what a detailed section is and what it does, you'll be fine. Right, so we've done what have we done here? We've done the hardcore, we've done the sand and cement, so now we need the DPC. So the DPC goes here. Let's see where I've gone. I've probably gone a mile away. I don't know how that happens, but it probably happens to all of us, I'm sure. 1 minute you're there and the next second You're way over on the other side of the model space. Right, so DPC. So again, hardcore, rubble, soft sand, blind it to get it nice and level, DPC on top, and then after that, incidentally, the DPC actually goes up the walls. If there was a wall there, it would go up the wall, so that you're basically going to cocoon the insulation. So now, on top of the DPC, we're going to do some concrete. So again, the concrete is a standard hatch. So you draw the rectangle, fill it full of concrete, which I'm not going to bother showing you that because you should know how to do that by now. Right, so you got the DPC, you've got the concrete. There we go. Top of the concrete, what have we got? We've got the insulation. So let's get the insulation. And again, the sizing, it will depend. Everything will depend on the installer and the manufacturer's design, because different people have different specifications for how they do and what the thicknesses are. So this is a general guide for wet on-the-floor heating on a ground floor or concrete floor. So, but the actual final specification based around this will just vary a little bit with regard to size, etc. So now we need a rigid insulation board with the pipes inside. So here we have that. As I say, the tightness of the pipes, that will depend on the installer and their specification. So yeah, there's a fair bit of work goes into it. I don't mean the detail section, but the actual work itself. So now on top of that, we're going to have a screed, and the screed I've already made. Let me just get rid of that, I don't need it anymore. So the screed, let's get it on. Right, now the screed, 60, 50, 70, it depends on the specification of the installer, what they decide, because the reason it's specified is that to get different heat outputs in the room, you need different layouts for the pipes, and depending on the circumstances, there might be more than one zone within one concrete section. So if there's more than one zone, there'll be, say, one pipe coming in and going out for this half, and then another pipe going in and out. So everything is absolutely according to wherever the on-the-floor heating is being installed. So there's a unique specification for that. So now that's your concrete slab. It's basically called a liquid screed. They come in, they pump that in, and on a large area it can be accurate up to 1 mil. And because it finds its own height, it's liquid. And again, if they put a hardener in there, it can be ready to walk on the following day. Cost you a little more though. Right, don't know what that is here. Yeah, get rid of it. Right, there are all the component parts. So now what we need to do is we need to name them and get some more info in, so that we have. Now I've written all the bits and pieces in already. A few warnings here and there that should go over here. Let's find the center. So give us a guide for the editorial. Oops, that's very good. This one needs, that's perfect again. Right, so now Likewise, we can do it for the section a little bit to the right. There you go. So we're looking at, let's have a look. We need to put these on the top, these two, and I guess the other two will be on the bottom. So if I slide it over there, and in fact, yeah, these four can go along the bottom. So what do you think? Is that lining up? Am I going to have to line it up? Sometimes you line it up by eye, and then you're going to be going back and forth all afternoon because it's not right. It's always better just run a line, and then you know what you're doing. Right, so if I run little lines out from here, so I need to run another line, don't I? So that these match up. Yeah, nothing wrong with being neat, is there? So I'm snapping, so I'd rather not snap at the moment. So yeah, so let's get these out. As I say, when you're doing this, probably better off to turn off snaps for a little while. Otherwise you're going to be snapping to Tom, Dick and Harry. So it's easier to turn off snaps to get it more accurate. That last one didn't quite hit the spot, but we're getting there. At least you can tell this is live. I really don't cut out any of the bloopers or the mistakes that I make, which is always comforting to know. Now, insulation to the floor slab. That's that one, so we need to do them in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, isn't it? Okay, so if I draw a line down, say from there. Oh, I think now I can turn snaps back on again. That'll be useful now. I can get rid of this. Right, and the next one, I suppose I could if I wanted to, you know, I could space these correctly and so on, but perhaps I'm going too far then. Right, the next step is the concrete, so we want to draw a line for that. So let's assume that's the concrete. I say that's the concrete slab, 100 mil thickness. You should be getting the hang of doing these detailed sections now. I've done about 10 videos already on different sections, on what I consider to be kind of the more popular videos. So in the end, you should be able to, as you do them, they should be becoming easier and easier. Right, now, so this is the damp proof. There we go. So this isn't rocket science. In fact, it's quite therapeutic to do. Actually, I'm enjoying them more and more. We've got about 1,000 of them to do, so maybe it's just as well I enjoy them. We've been doing detailed sections for years and years, so we decided that we would create this website called Detailed Section and load them all up there, so that you know, designers, architects, builders can download them. So instead of having to create a detailed section every time they want one, they will be able to load from here. Right, let's see if I can borrow a little ball over here. Why not? A little circle to be exact. And we place the circles for the bottom one. Need 4. Alright. So we get the first one on about there. And then for the DPC, bring these up a bit. Yeah. So yeah, keep them simple, just black and white. And a little bit of colour. That's what makes the detail sections. In fact, just go up a little bit there. Keep them clean design, so to speak. Right. So now these are coming down. So the propriety, the pipework. Let's see. Pipework is coming straight down to there, so we draw a line up from one of these pipes. There we go. Don't need that anymore. And the next bit was what? The concrete, the screed, isn't it? So the screed then can go from oh, snaps. Yeah, if I do it from here, I'll be fine, I think. There we go. So I'm using TurboCAD 2022 today. Lovely package, lovely and stable, and enjoying it immensely. If you're doing basic design work, architectural, you're not into 3D as such, then you probably don't need to upgrade, because there's only a few changes. The main reason I continually have the latest software packages, the main reasons for that is so that I can open up AutoCAD and other files from and put them into the TurboCAD. For example, if I was using an old version of TurboCAD now, I wouldn't be able to open up, say, a modern AutoCAD file. So you need to keep abreast, even though the software may not be giving me more benefits in 2022 as against the older versions. The number one benefit, of course, is that it can open up the latest CAD files coming from other programs. So that's a reason for having it. I'm just looking at the height of this lot. That can come down a bit so we can condense it down. It's all about the tweaks. I'm just tweaking it just a touch. So it makes a lot of difference if I prepare and actually, do some work. What have I done there? Doesn't want to move up because I didn't grab it properly, perhaps. Now, how's that looking? I think that's looking quite well. So yeah, I prepared all these elements, these bits of text to define the various elements, and I numbered them, but I did all that before we started the lesson so that I wouldn't have you here all day, and I'm convinced that by now you guys will know how to do that. So you realize perhaps where there's more than one line of text that it's not normal text, as in standard text like it's in fact multi-text. Multi-text allows us to copy and paste large amounts of text in. You see the bar here. This is where we do all the changes with regard to the font, whereas on this text you realize you can do it within the properties bar here, or by double clicking it comes up with another menu. Right, I think we're finished with the underfloor heating. Underfloor, that should be, I think, wet underfloor heating to make it a little bit more descriptive. So on this one now, just double click it. It's not a multi-text, it's just standard text. So I'm going to go wet. The reason we put wet, in case you don't know, is because you can also get electric underfloor heating. So the moment we say wet, then people understand that it's to do with plumbing. Let me just centralize that again. Good enough. Right. So yeah, this and many others will be on sale within detailsections.co.uk when we get around to filling up the cupboards. The shelves and cupboards are bare down there at the moment, but gradually these will all find a way into detailsections.co.uk, so you'll be able to download in PDF or DWG whenever you need them. Hopefully you got some value out of today's lesson. If you have any comments or you have any questions, please do leave a message or do leave a comment and I'll come back to you. And of course, if you want to watch more of these videos, hit the subscribe button on your way out. That's great. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully you've had value. I'll see you on the next video.